Welcome students. Today we are discussing the Assam Tribune of 17th August 2020. At Civil Services Achievers Point, we have various initiatives and various courses. Students, please join them to ensure a rank in upcoming examination. This Assam Tribune analysis is based on the new pattern of APSC. However, it is also useful for UPSC and state level government examinations. These are the various topics and newspaper articles we will discuss. We will also discuss the important editorials. So students, let us begin. The first topic which we are discussing today is Clause 6 panel report implementation will make the CAA, that is the Citizenship Amendment Act, inapplicable in Assam. This topic we will study under General Studies on Assam, Polity and Administration. The controversial Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 may not be applicable in Assam if the Government of India implements all the recommendations of the committee formed to implement the Clause 6 of the Assam Accord. In our last two classes of current affairs, we have discussed at great length the various recommendations made by the committee. So as per this news article, if the committee recommendations are implemented, then the CAA may not be applicable in Assam. So let us further study the arguments given in this article. As per the provisions of the CAA, the government proposes to give Indian citizenship to Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians. 6 communities. Students, please make a note of the 6 communities: Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan, and who entered India on or before 31 December 2014. However, the CAA will not be applicable in the areas covered under the inner line permit system. So on the other hand, the committee on Clause 6 of the Assam Accord, headed by Justice retired Biplab Sharma, has recommended the ILP, that is the inner line permit system, to be introduced in Assam. So if the CAA is not to be applied in the areas where there is ILP applicable, and if Government of India applies ILP in Assam, that means the provisions of the CAA will not be applicable in Assam. Further, the article says, if the government implements this recommendation, the CAA will not be applicable in Assam. Moreover, the committee recommended implementation of all the clauses of the Assam Accord. The committee in its report said complete implementation of all clauses of Assam Accord, especially clauses 5.1 to 5.9 and clauses 7, 10 and 11 are essential for the safeguards to be provided under Clause 6 of the Assam Accord. The clauses 5.1 to 5.9 are the key clauses of the accord which pertain to detection and deportation of foreigners living in Assam. As per Clause 5.7 of the accord, the foreigners who came to Assam on or after March 25, 1971 would be detected and practical steps would be taken to expel them from the country. Implementation of that clause will negate the CAA, which aims to provide citizenship to certain sections of foreigners who came up till 2014. It may be mentioned here that the committee recommended that the Assam Accord should be fully implemented without any further delay by drawing up a time-bound action plan. The committee said that the procedure for detection of foreigners in Assam should be strengthened by applying the same procedure for detection of foreigners applicable in the entire country. The report said that the government should pursue diplomatic initiative with the government of Bangladesh for deportation of post-1971 foreigners. So in order to detect and deport the foreigners, so in Government of India should also initiate diplomatic initiative with the government of Bangladesh. The committee further suggested that till such deportation is completed as an interim measure, as a temporary measure, the post 1971 migrants should be resettled outside Assam. After accepting the foreigners who came between 1951 to 1971, it is not possible for Assam to shoulder the burden of post 1971 migrants, and there should be equitable distribution of such persons in the entire country, the report further recommended. That means the Assam Accord says, as per the Assam Accord, till 1971, whoever came to Assam will be accepted as Indian citizens. However, post 1971 migrants should be equitable distribution, should be equitably distributed across all the states of the country. If all the recommendations of the committee are accepted, it will not be possible to implement the CA in Assam, as the recommendations clearly stated that Assam should not be given the burden of foreigners who came after 1971, and the CA date is 2014. It may be mentioned here that the Union Home Minister Amit Shah had assured the Parliament that the government would implement the recommendations of the Committee on Assam Accord immediately while receiving it. Also, our Prime Minister Modi has also made very much promises in the public meetings. So, does the doubts and the apprehensions among the masses of Assam or the Assamese people can be reduced because the various recommendations of the committee on clause 6 of Assam Accord, if they are implemented, then the provisions of CAA may not be implemented in Assam. So this is a very welcome step with respect to the foreigners issue in Assam, and the further developments we will track them and we will keep a note of it. If any question is asked regarding this issue in the mains or also in the interview stage, students should be able to give very precise and direct to the point answers. Now coming to the next topic, 18 dead, 21 missing in massive Nepal landslide. This topic we will study under General Studies 1, Geography of the World. At least 18 people have been killed and 21 others reported missing after a massive landslide hit Nepal's Sindhupal Chowk district, authorities said on Sunday, adding that a search and rescue operation was ongoing in the affected area. The landslide, which occurred on Friday in the district's Jugal rural municipality, also damaged 37 houses in Lidi village. Among the 18 victims, there were 11 children, 4 women, and 3 men. The local administration has relocated affected people to a nearly safe location. In this picture, you can see the picture of landslide. See, the Himalayan regions of both India and Nepal and Bhutan are experiencing frequent landslides due to various human activities. The same thing is also experienced in Western Ghats in Kerala in recent times. So this is a concern. So students, a question may be asked in the geography in the GS1 paper in geography syllabus. So students, kindly make a note of the current happenings in these topics. Lidi village is one of the settlements identified by the Nepali government as having been in risk of landslide. According to the National Reconstruction Authority, a government body established to coordinate the reconstruction efforts after the 2015 earthquake in Nepal, the village is on the list of the settlements that needs protection but does not need relocation. There are 327 such settlements across the country which require protection. Now coming to our next topic, India to spend rupees 100 lakh crore on 7,000 national infrastructure projects as per Prime Minister. This topic we will study under the General Studies 3 paper, topic Economic Development. Aimed at eliminating silos, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday announced that India will spend over rupees 100 lakh crore on 7,000 national infrastructure projects. For this, the Prime Minister said a very big plan has been prepared to connect the entire country with multimodal connectivity. About 7,000 projects of different sectors have also been identified. It would be like a new revolution in infrastructure. The country is moving towards spending more than rupees 100 lakh crore on this project. Modi said this during his Independence Day speech. Mentioning the need to eliminate silos in the era of infrastructure, Modi said there is a need to give a new direction to the overall infrastructure so that India moves towards modernity at a fast pace. This need will be met with the National Infrastructure Pipeline Project. He said many big companies of the world are turning to India presently, and that we have to move forward with a mantra of make in India as well as make for the world. At the event, the Prime Minister also announced that a new national cyber security strategy has been drafted in the country. So this is a very important development, a new national cyber security strategy. As we know, cyber security is a part of our internal security in GS3 paper topic. So any new development, we will track it and we will make a note of it so that if any question comes on this topic, we may answer them in the examination. He further said India is alert, cautious, and is taking decisions to counter these threats and is constantly developing new systems. Modi further announced that every village in the country will be connected with optical fiber in the coming 1000 days, and that the goal will be met. 1000 days means approximately it will be 3 years. Informing that only 5 dozen panchayats in the country were connected with optical fiber before 2014. Modi said 1.5 lakh gram panchayats in the country have since been connected with optical fiber in the last few years. He said Lakshadweep will also be connected to submarine optical fiber cable. To give modern infrastructure to the farmers of the country, he said agricultural fund, an agricultural fund, an agriculture infrastructure fund of rupees 1 lakh crore has been created. As we have already studied in our past classes, an agriculture infrastructure fund of rupees 1 lakh crore has been created, laying stress on border and coastal infrastructure for its big role in the security of the country. The Prime Minister said, be it the Himalayan peaks or the islands of the Indian Ocean, today there is an unprecedented expansion of road and internet connectivity in the country. There are more than 1,300 islands in our country. In view of their geographical location, considering their importance in the development of the country, work is underway to start new development schemes in some of these selected islands. He mentioned that a special campaign was also being worked on with a holistic approach to reduce pollution in 100 selected cities of the country. The Prime Minister also announced that another big campaign, the National Digital Health Mission, is being launched in the country from Saturday to bring a new revolution in India's health sector. So this is another a big development, National Digital Health Mission. Now coming to the important editorials. The first editorial we are discussing is Modi's Independence Day speech. Now this topic we will try to find out important points from our exam point of view. This topic we can study under General Studies 2 Governance topic and General Studies 3 Economic Development. India celebrated its 74th Independence Day with less fervor and gaiety because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, for every Indian, August 15 is always much more than a calendar date. This year, during the 90-minute Independence Day speech from the ramparts of the Red Fort, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi tried to give a report card of his government and also indicate a future roadmap. Modi highlighted his new plan of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or a self-reliant India. He has counted almost all those points that can contribute directly or indirectly on large and small scale to make India a self-reliant nation. The statement that the last 5 years of his rule was to fulfill the necessities and the current 5 years are to fulfill the expectations ultimately means that India has already achieved the desired success in all the sectors of public discourses according to the plans, policies, and implementation of different projects of public welfare from 2014 to 2020. Modi has counted the successful implementation of many schemes and projects meant for poverty elimination, ending economic disparity, ensuring jobs, education, health, and all other parameters of development. He referred to the technological works like making PPE kits, medical ventilators, masks, and sanitizers during this corona period by Indians. He further also referred to the technological works like making PPE kits, medical ventilators, masks, and sanitizers during this corona period by Indians. Modi also pointed out that India has stopped importing defense products in large number. Make in India, along with Startup India, Stand Up India, and others were initiated both for indigenous production, creation of jobs, and skill development. The government highlighted all these projects so far as means to convert India to a production hub. So also the Act is policy was supposed to make India's northeastern states as a hub of trade and economy between India and Southeast Asian nations. Most of the economists are of the opinion that the Indian economy will shrink by at least 5% in 2020 to 21, and there is no probability that the economy will recover immediately. During the last few months, people in India have lost jobs or suffered salary cuts. Many small businesses have closed down, and many business people have gone out of work. Importantly, the entire supply chains got disrupted, and the consumer confidence is down at this point of time. So the entire situation due to the coronavirus lockdown is gloomy, and government has taken some steps in this regard. The state of job security of the Indians can be understood how some Air India pilots have been sacked just on the eve of this year's Independence Day. Further, in his speech, Prime Minister Modi stressed the utility of digitalization of India yet again. This time, he focused on the digitalization of India's health sector. Announcing the National Digital Health Mission, he said the One Nation, One Health Card scheme will help people getting better healthcare facilities. A unique health ID will be issued to every citizen, which will ensure better accessibility to health services. But the public health sector seems to be on the verge of collapse, dealing with the corona patients. Naturally, there is a reasonable doubt regarding the success of the National Digital Health Mission. So the author of this editorial has put forward certain challenges. The government's expense of the total GDP in the health sector must be put under the scanner to see the reality. On the backdrop of the Chinese aggression against India, it was expected that Modi would give a clear message to China and Pakistan. He also remarked in the expected line. But his vision of extended neighborhood does not sound convincing, basically for two reasons. One, India has not succeeded so far in building strategic partnerships with her immediate neighbors and restricting China from dominating the periphery. Like we know, the Chinese influence is on the rise in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in Myanmar, okay, in Maldives, in Nepal, in Bhutan. So the first thing India should do is building strategic partnerships with her immediate neighbors so that it can restrict China from dominating the periphery. The other one is that strategic partnership with the nations the Prime Minister wants to include in his extended neighborhood, the West Asia and the ASEAN. So along with our immediate neighbors, also we have an extended neighborhood, that is the West Asia and the ASEAN nations. Things cannot be judged only from the fact that out of 192 members, 184 have voted in favor of India's membership in the UN Security Council. So out of 192, 184 have voted majority, a clear majority have voted for India's membership in the UN Security Council. So this is an important article, an important editorial for the Prime Minister's speech on Independence Day. Students, please make a note of the important points which can be used in our relevant GS answers. The next topic which we are discussing is decoding national education policy. Now, in our past current affairs classes, we have been discussing the various dimensions of the national education policy. In this editorial also, various key and important points have been made. Students, please pay attention to these points and make a note of it so that they can be used in the examination. Now, this topic we will study under General Studies 2, Governance and Social Justice. The National Education Policy 2020-20 aims to address the many growing developmental imperatives of this country. It proposes the revision and revamping of all aspects of the education structure, including its regulation and governance, to create a new system that is aligned with the aspirational goals of the 21st century education while remaining consistent with India's traditions and value systems. So the new education policy, as per the author, it proposes the revision and revamping of all aspects of the education structure, including its regulation and governance, to create a new system that is aligned with the aspirational goals, that is the goals which India aspires in the 21st century education, but at the same time it remains consistent with traditional values of India. The foundational pillars of this policy are access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. Students, please make a note of this line in any answer regarding the new education policy. This line can be directly quoted. The foundational pillars of this policy are access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. Further, the article says the principles on which this policy is based are flexibility. The first is flexibility for learners to choose their learning trajectories and programs and thereby choose their paths in life according to their own talents or interests. Second point is no hard separations between arts and sciences, between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic, multidisciplinary and a holistic education across the sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, and sports streams. Emphasis on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning and learning for exams, on creativity and critical thinking to encourage logical decision making and innovation, on ethics and human and constitutional values, and on life skills. The next point, regular formative assessment for learning rather than the summative assessment that encourages today's coaching culture. A respect for diversity and respect for the local culture context in all curriculum, pedagogy, and policy. Full equity and inclusion to ensure all students are able to thrive in the education system. Resource efficiency without any compromise on equity and quality. So there are various principles. There are flexibility, no hard separations, emphasis on conceptual understanding, regular formative assessment, a respect for diversity and respect for the local culture, inclusive nature to ensure all students are able to thrive in the education system. So these are some of the important principles. Students, please make a note of these principles. Also, principles are based on rigorous recruitment and preparation, continuous professional development of teachers and faculty, a light but tight oversight and regulatory system to ensure integrity and transparency while simultaneously encouraging innovation and out-of-the-box ideas, substantial investment in a strong, vibrant public education system, as well as the encouragement and facilitation of true philanthropic private participation. The new features include preparation for schooling and elementary schooling level, as in bringing the National Curriculum Framework for Early Childhood Care and Education (ECCE) by 2030, achieve 100% gross enrollment ratio in school education by 2030, preparatory class or Bal Bhatika for 5 to 6-year-old children in Anganwadis or preschools, school preparation module for all class 1 entrants. So there are various goals as mentioned here. Students, please make a note of it. Under the National Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Mission, It proposes to set up Bal Bhavans under school infrastructure and resources. It talks about having special education zones, SEZ, utilization of unused capacity of schools as Samajik Chetna Kendras, use school complex or clusters for resource sharing, among others. A holistic development of the student is aimed with no hard separation of curricular, extra and co-curricular arts and science, sports and vocational crafts, effort made towards having digital libraries, use artificial intelligence for identifying specific aptitude of child for a holistic report card, introduce vocational education integration from primary grades, and at no bag days internship with local trades and craftspersons for grade 6 to 8, have Lok Vidya, wherein local artists are to be brought as master instructions in schools. So various holistic development programs have been made. Assessments are to be conducted under the National Assessment Center for Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development, named PARAK, National Assessment Center for Performance Assessment Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development, PARAK. Exams to be conducted only in grades 3, 5 and 8, in addition to board exams in grades 10 and 12. The board exams will be modular, low stakes, based on conceptual knowledge and its application. Under teacher recruitments and teacher education, the measures to be brought in are minimum qualification degree for teaching under a 4-year integrated B.Ed degree by 2030, teacher recruitment test based on TET and NTA test and teaching demonstration. TET will be mandatory for teaching, minimum 50 hours of in-service training per teacher per year. National Professional Standards for Teachers NPST by 2022, IT and database predictive planning for requirement of students in teachers education institutions, TEIs to move to multidisciplinary colleges and universities by 2030. There will be stringent action on non-performing TEIs. It will be mandatory for every PhD student to do a module on teacher education. So these are various provisions regarding teacher education also. The timeline for achieving the goals have been broken up into 5 earmarked years. It starts with 2021-2022 as the year within which it aims to complete formulation of the national curricular framework for school education and the national curriculum framework for teacher education. By 2022-2023, it aims to bring about a common guiding set of national professional standards for teachers (NPST) and prepare teachers for a transformation in the assessment system. By 2025-26, the aim is to attain universal foundational literacy and numeracy in all primary schools for all learners by grade 3 and ensure state or union territory governments to optimize resources through mechanisms to group or rationalize schools such as school complexes and also expose at least 50% of learners to vocational education in the school and higher education system. So these are the various provisions by 2025-26. By 2029-30, it aims to provide universal provisioning of quality early childhood development and care, move teacher education gradually into multidisciplinary colleges and universities, and force educationally sound multidisciplinary and integrated teacher education programs, as well as for all TEIs to be converted into multidisciplinary institutes. By 2040, it has to be ensured that the policy is fully operational. So there is a timeline of every 2 to 3 years. So by 2040, the whole policy is to be fully operational. Similarly, the timeline for implementation of ECE and new assessment pattern is also aimed to be achieved within 5 earmarked years. Early childhood education phase 1, initiating implementation of 1 year of pre-primary school and 3-month preparatory module for class 1 students, implementation of new curriculum and assessment for class 9 to be achieved by 2021-22, implementation of new curriculum and assessment for class 10 by 2022 and 23, early childhood education phase 2, expansion of 1 year of pre-primary school through primary schools and Anganwadis, implementation of new curriculum and assessment up to class 11 by 2023-24, implementation of new curriculum and assessment for class 12 by 2024-25, introduce the new board exam pattern for both class 10 and 12 by 2025-26. So these are various earmarked years by which certain targets should be achieved. So these are, as this is a new development, students please make a note of the important points under this editorial, so that if any question comes in the examination, we may quote them in the answers. Now coming to the Apne Desh Ko Jano initiative, here we are discussing the India-Pakistan border. During the independence, there was no border as such. Border between India and Pakistan was drawn 2 years after partition. The Radcliffe line was the boundary demarcation line between India and Pakistan, published on August 17, 1947. Sir Cyril Radcliffe was charged with equitably dividing 1,75,000 square miles, that is 4,50,000 kilometers of territory, with 88 million people. So this is an important information. Radcliffe line is the border between India and Pakistan. Students, please make a note of it. So with this, we come to an end to the Assam Tribune discussion. At Civil Services Achievers Point, we have various courses, offline regular classes, online live classes. We have various free initiatives. We also have mock interview. Also, we are coming up with optional classes, ethics classes, and CSAP classes. For further details, please call the numbers given below. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Telegram. Thank you.